So we are discussing about theoretical framework, hypothesis development. From the last class we discussed about, right? So the theoretical framework, the title we discussed as an example, impact of service quality on customer satisfaction among undergraduate students at the Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce University of Lucknow. So then we have identified the research problem, the research questions, and research objectives, and theoretical underpinning also. We have used a circle model developed by Parasuraman, Tamil, and Berry. Right, this model is identifying five key dimensions: service quality, right? Tangibility, reliability, responsiveness, assurance, and temporary. So then based on that, these dimensions are included as independent variable. And the one another variables we considered as a dependent variable is the customer satisfaction. And then we have discussed about the relationship between the variables. And so now we can discuss about the conceptualization. So conceptualization, right, this try to connect the relationship between the variables. So this model, as you see, service quality, right, is one variable, and that variable may have a five different dimensions. Right, so tangibility, reliability, responsiveness, assurance, and temporary, and customer satisfaction as the dependent variable. So then now we want to formulate the hypothesis. So hypothesis already we discussed about the statement about the relationship between the variable. So then a researcher who adopts a deductive method of reasoning, right? Deductive methods use the logic of theory to build an argument about the research problem. Right? Deductive methods always try to uh, formulate this hypothesis based on the theory to build an argument about the research problem. So then the argument is these dimensions are in fact influencing on the customer satisfaction. Based on the theory of the circular model, right, we can have a kind of argument. So then I stated the earlier like, hypothesis is a conjectural statement, right? That means it's a connection statement which indicates the relationship between two or more variables in a testable form. Right? So then hypotheses are normally statements, right? So then the statements try to give the association or relationship between the variables in a testable form. So a hypothesis can also suggest cause and effect relationships, right? Cause and effect relationship that can be empirically verified. Empirically means scientifically you can verify with the evidence. So then the relationships that are expressed in hypothesis take different forms and they are outlined as follows. Right? So there are different ways they can create the right hypothesis. These are some examples. Following these arguments as well as the conceptual model, we can suggest the following hypothesis for the benefits of the reader. So then tangibility influence on perceived customer satisfaction. Right? Tangibility influence on perceived customer satisfaction. So perceived customer satisfaction in the sense each customers can see the tangibility and they can have a satisfaction. This may vary person to person based on their perception. Perception means how they are seeing the things and interpreting and giving a meaning. So that's why this is customer's point of view. So then each customers may have a different point of view, right? So the ideas. That's why here the one hypothesis, H1. Normally this is a notation for the hypothesis. When researchers write the hypothesis, they are using this column, H and 1. So H1 says tangibility influence on perceived customer satisfaction. And then this H2, right? Second H2, reliability influence on perceived customer satisfaction. And H3, responsiveness influence on perceived customer satisfaction. And H4, assurance influence on perceived customer satisfaction. And H5, empathy influence on perceived customer satisfaction. Right, so then this is a normal simple form of hypothesis. So then we don't want to discuss much about the hypothesis. What you can understand is a form of right statement, arguments based on the problem, right? Based on the theory, they can write the hypothesis to empirically test right that relationship. So now we can move towards operationalizations of concepts and variables. Operationalization. Normally, having stated a hypothesis, right? We have created and stated a hypothesis. A researcher is expected to indicate. A researcher is expected to indicate in concrete terms, how he or she intend to measure each concept. Right. Now we may have an idea um, based on the theory, SERP one, tangibility, reliability, responsiveness, assurance, and temper. These are the concepts. But sometimes we may have a doubt about how we are going to measure this, right? Concepts. So that's why uh, operationalization means how to convert that conceptual model into operation, right? In the real world operation. So that's why a researcher is expected to indicate in concrete terms, right? How he or she intend to measure each concept or variable that has been used in formulating the hypothesis. For the hypothesis, we have used the variables concept, and now how we are going to measure that variables and concept. This means stating what evidence the researcher intends to bring. Right? This means stating what evidence the researcher intends to bring into prove whether the situation described by the concept or the variable exists or not. So this means stating what evidence the researcher intends to bring, right, to provide whether the situation described the concept or variable exists or not, whether that tangibility is there or not, how we can describe that, how we can prove that reliability exists or not, how we can prove that, what is the evidence, responsiveness, and so on, right, and so on. So then now operationalization, now you can understand operationalization is really right, you converting that concept into the operation mode. So operationalization is defined as the process of deciding, right? Operationalization is defined as the process of deciding what will count as evidence for the concepts or variables contained in the theory. And the theory, the service quality have 5 different dimensions according to our example, and what is the evidence available to that evidence, the dimensions are exist. Thus, in the process of operationalizing, right, the process of operationalizing, a research engages himself, a research engages himself. So a researcher, right, sorry, a researcher engages himself in exercise of reducing the abstract concepts into measurable variables. Abstract concept in the sense only is on a subjective matter, and that is only concept level. So empathy, responsiveness, these are concept. And how we can measure that. So then reducing that exercise of reducing the abstract concept into measurable variables. And thereafter establish the indicators and more specific measures of those indicators. Right? Indicators, how they are going to variable or the concept, right? Concepts into variable and indicators and measures. And through this exercise, the researcher can get at the concept and empirically measure their variable behavior. Let us illustrate this point. which an example. So operationalization involves defining variables, indicators, measures for each self-required dimension to examine the impact on customer satisfaction. So then here we can see that a detailed explanation sometimes is maybe in the table format also we can put it. So then this is the tangibility. So what is variable is the tangibility, right? Concept is service quality. Variable is the uh, tangibility and indicators, right? What are the indicators? Indicate about the tangibility. Cleanliness of facilities. Cleanliness, right? How clean the facility is, indicating about the tangibility and modernity of equipment. So equipment and modern equipment. So then that indicate the tangibility. Professional appearance of staffs, right? And their dress and behaviors and physical comfort of the environment. What are the other interior, right? Physical aspects of that environment. These are now you can understand. That's why variable indicators. Then how we can measure this? Example, one example, survey questions on Likert scales. One strongly disagree to five strongly agree. They can ask some questions. So for the cleanliness of facilities, questions they can ask. That's why the measures normally we refer as the questions to be asked. The facilities are clean and well maintained. Do you agree? Right? You can say, if you agree, you can say five. If you are not agree, you can put as a one. The second indicator, modernity of the equipment. So the equipment, another questions they can ask. The equipment is up to date and in good condition. So then if you agree, put five or not agree, uh, one. Right? And in between, you can select two or three or something. And professional appearance of staff, right? You can put the staff are dressed professionally. So then if you agree five or not one. So the physical comfort of the environment, so that the environment is comfortable. So then you can put one if you are not agree. And if you agree, you can put five or in moderately agree, or three or four like that. So the expected relationship, higher scores on tangibility indicators are hypothesis to correlate with the higher overall customer satisfaction, as we discussed earlier. So then higher the scores, if they are putting a five, 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 that means these tangibility is getting higher scores. Then they expected the relationship that can lead to higher satisfaction, right? And another, right, reliability also we can see. Variable is reliability, indicator is, right, consistency of service delivered, right? So that means less variable. So then how they are measuring that? The service is delivered consistently. If you agree, you can put five. If you are not agree, because one day you can get a good service, another day you can get a poor service, then the service is not consistently provided. So in that case, you can rate, right, according to your perception about that consistency of the service. And accuracy in building records, billing and records. Billing and records are accurate. If you get the billings and records accurately, you can put, right, because the reliable service they are putting. And then if you agree, you can put five. If you are not strongly agree, you can put one in between, you can select another scale. And dependability in handling customer issues, dependability in handling customer issues. So how they are going to measure that? Then that questions issues are handled dependably, right? Right? Issues are handled dependably. So then if you agree, you can put a five or not, you can put one. And timeliness of service, right? Services are provided on time. You agree, you can put five or not one, right? So then the same thing, Here, greater reliability expected to enhance the customer satisfaction, as indicated by higher scores on reliability indicators. And responsiveness, right? Another variable. So then indicator promptness in responding to inquiries. Right? Promptness means when you write to ask any inquiries, so then they write to respond promptly. So then the questions they ask to measure that promptness, responses to inquiries are prompt. You agree 5 or otherwise 1. Willingness to help customers, staffs are willing to help. You agree 5, otherwise 1. Availability of service when needed, service is available when needed. If you agree 5, otherwise you can put a response. So quick resolution of problems. Problems are resolved, right? Quickly if you agree 5, otherwise you can put another score. So then increased responsiveness is presumed to improve customer satisfaction, reflected in higher responsiveness scores. And assurance, right? Now we can see assurance. Here, assurance, the variable indicator is the knowledge and competence of employees. Employees are knowledgeable and competent, then you can put, right? If you agree 5, otherwise you can put other scores. Courtesy of staff. Staffs are courteous, right? So then they are respecting the people. So if they are respect and kind, then you can agree. If you agree, you can put 5. Otherwise, others plus. Ability to inspire trust and confidence, right? The staffs inspire trust and confidence. If you agree, you put 5. Otherwise, others plus. Safety and security to transaction. Transactions feels safe and secure. This is a measure. Then they ask some questions about that. If you agree, you can put 5. Otherwise, you can put other scores. So a stronger assurance is likely to boost customer satisfaction, yes, right? And empathy. So the fifth dimension, and the variable, right? Empathy. So then indicators are personal attention given to customers because, right? Survey questions, tasks give personal attention. If you agree 5, otherwise others scores. Understanding customer needs are understood, then you agree 5, otherwise others scores. Staff availability for consultation. Staffs are available for consultation if you agree 5, otherwise others scores. Efforts to understand individual customer needs, right? Efforts are made to understand individual needs. If you agree, 5, otherwise others 5. So then greater empathy is anticipated to rise customer satisfaction indicated by high empathy scores. Finally, so far we discussed about independent variables and their indicators and their measures. Now we are going to see about the variable customer satisfaction, right? So then that indicators. Overall satisfaction with the service, right? How they are going to measure. I am overall satisfied with the service, right? So if you agree, you can put 5, otherwise others scores. Likelihood of recommending the service. I would recommend the service to others, right? So then you can put, if you agree, 5, otherwise put others scores. Intention to return for future services. I intended to return for future services if you agree to in return for the intend we have an intention to return for the future service, then you can put 5 or otherwise other scores. So then satisfaction with the specific service aspects, then how they are going to measure. I am satisfied with the specific aspects of services, speed and quality. Right? So then if you agree, you can put 5, otherwise that's plus. So then now this is the way right to right? The operationalizations of the conceptual model. So the conceptual model consists of variable. That variables are identified from the theories. That theory is related to the research problem. So then that research problem creates the research questions, then research objectives, and that based on the conceptual model, they write the hypotheses. Hypotheses are the statements, right, about the relationship between variable in a testable form. Now you can understand the concepts is converted in the operation. That means the questions, right, they create. This is the way the questions are included in the questionnaire. Now you can understand simply they don't put any questions. These questions also, I have given these questions based on the previous researchers, right? The previous researchers have extensively searched these measures relevant to that variable indicators, right? Based on the indicator. So today we discuss about this, right, of conceptual model and operationalization, because this is very important aspect. In some cases, some researchers, they can create a table. So I will explain how we can do that. Sometimes they put a variable, right? So then here indicator, here measures, right? Sometimes this customer satisfaction, or we can say this is a customer satisfaction variable. Indicators are overall, right? Overall satisfaction. How we are going to measure? We can say question 1 or question 20, right? So in this case, say for example, if it is a question 1, this one question 2, this one 3, right? This one question 4. So straight away you can use the question 1. So then second indicator, likelihood of recommendation. Sixth question 2. And third one, intention to withdraw. Again, question 3. And fourth one, satisfaction with specific services. Right. So now some research papers or research or right, they can put this as a table format under the operationalization, right? The conceptual model as operationalization. So then you see this table explain, because you can have a questionnaire. So sometimes you can give as an appendix, as an annexure end of the chart, right? Your work, you can annex a questionnaire, and the reader can understand how the particular variable measured. So then what are the indicators? So then this is the operationalizations of the conceptual model, because sometimes when they read the conceptual model, if you are new to that the field, sometimes you cannot understand, right? So then researchers putting this conceptual model and giving a explanation how they are going to operationalize this concept to collect the data. Simply, now you can understand what is the conceptual model. Conceptual model is the model explain the relationship between the variables, especially this is independent variable and the dependent variables. This is very simple model. There are a lot of complex models also available, right? So now you can understand only this simple model is enough, right? So then even this simple model also is a concept normally, right, created as a conceptual model. How the researcher is going to operationalize this model into the real world data collection. That's why they are writing this detailed explanation as mentioned here, or prepare the table to give some understanding about the operationalization of the conceptual model, right? So then if you read the different research articles available online, right? Now you can search the research article and you can download different research papers and you can read and how they have created the conceptual model, how they have explained the operationalization. Because this is not a standard format. This is the kind of the example, but sometimes some researchers put some in a different way. They are writing the operationalization in conceptual model, right? So then they try to explain how the operationalization in a different style. So then if you read the different research papers, you can understand the different styles and writing rights available about this, right? The or conceptual model and operationalization. Not only that, when you are reading the research papers, you can understand the research problem theory they can use to identify and research question and objectives. So if you want to be a good researcher, you have to practice a lot. Practice in the sense you have to read the different research papers. When you are reading more and more research papers, and you can get more idea how to write a research, right? So it's a good research. So then this is the kind of a basic idea or guideline to about this theoretical framework and hypothesis development of the research.